According to the World Health Organization, in 2019, the total number of people living with mental health disorders reached 1 billion worldwide. More than half of these people suffer from emotional disorders. About 300 million people suffer from anxiety, and approximately 280 million are affected by depression. Unfortunately, these numbers continue to grow every year. For example, results of a large health survey of the population of 31 developed and developing countries showed that in 2018, mental health was ranked third among all major health concerns. But in 2024, it reached the top of the list, meaning that people today are more worried about their psychological issues than about any other physical illnesses such as cancer or heart disease. It has been estimated that in the last 10 years, the number of people diagnosed with depression has increased by 20% worldwide. Similarly, the number of individuals affected by anxiety has increased by more than 55% during the period from 1990 to 2019. Each year, 800,000 people die by suicide, making it a leading cause of death among those aged 15 to 30. Someone somewhere commits suicide every 40 seconds. Statistics on mental health problems show similar trends in every country around the world. Therefore, this is a global crisis. The exact reasons for such a drastic increase in the incidence of emotional disorders during the last several decades are not fully understood, although several explanations have been suggested. The first explanation is that modern life has become more stressful than it was in the past. For example, there was an interesting study that compared levels of stress in two groups of adults in the USA. The first group was studied in 1995. They were interviewed every day for 8 consecutive days. During the interviews, participants were asked about stressful experiences they had in the past 24 hours. The second group was interviewed in the same way, but in 2012, researchers concluded that day-to-day stress was much higher in the 2010s compared to the 1990s, whereas overall well-being was higher in the 1990s. More specifically, modern middle-aged participants show a 27% rise in uncertainty about their financial status. Therefore, the upsurge of emotional disorders may be explained by increased levels of stress. A more recent example of how stress can cause anxiety and depression is the COVID-19 pandemic. During that period, many people lost their family members. Many people lost their businesses. Lockdowns, social isolation, and uncertainty about the future all contributed to the sharp upsurge in diagnosis of anxiety and depression. Worldwide surveys done during the pandemic found higher than typical levels of stress, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. By 2022, levels had lowered but were still higher than before 2020. Another possible reason for the sharp increase in the incidence of mental health disorders is improved recognition of such cases by healthcare systems. Nowadays, medical professionals are better trained in the identification of psychological disorders, and dissemination of information about mental health disorders on social media, in schools, and in workplaces has improved awareness about mental health issues in lay people. Now, people are more informed about the symptoms, can recognize them when they occur, and ask for professional help. On the flip side, many people now confuse normal psychological reactions to stress with mental health disorders. Anxiety and low mood sometimes are just normal reactions. In my opinion, a small proportion of people diagnosed with anxiety and depression during the COVID-19 pandemic do not have these disorders, because anxiety can be a normal reaction to uncertainty, and low mood can be a normal reaction to loss. In psychiatry, it is sometimes difficult to draw the line between the norm and pathology. Therefore, medical professionals, as well as lay people, should continue being educated on how to differentiate normal and abnormal psychological reactions to stress. Although the situation with recognition and acknowledgement of emotional disorders has improved, many people still consider them as some sort of weakness. That is one of the reasons why many people with anxiety disorders avoid psychiatric services, because of the fear of being ridiculed, ostracized, and stigmatized by society. Admitting you suffer from mental health problems can cost you your job, your partner, or your friends. This is especially true in developing countries. In addition, many individuals suffering from depression do not seek medical help due to the nature of this disorder. One of its core symptoms is passivity and hopelessness. They do not believe that it is possible to recover from depression and therefore do not ask for medical help. Thus, the real number of people suffering from emotional disorders may be even higher. The unavailability of mental health services due to a shortage of qualified psychiatrists and psychotherapists further complicates the issue. Only 4% of patients with emotional disorders receive adequate treatment that aligns with established standards. According to these standards, psychotherapy is an essential component of treatment. In the management of mild cases of depression, the first step is psychotherapy, because antidepressants are effective mostly in moderate to severe cases. And even in moderate and severe cases, the most effective strategy is a combination of psychotherapy and antidepressants. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford psychotherapy as it can be very expensive. In developing countries, most patients diagnosed with depression do not receive any treatment due to either financial difficulties or the absence of psychotherapists. If you feel that you have a mental health problem but cannot afford therapy, or there are no psychotherapists in your area, on this channel you will find a lot of useful information that may help you to fix your psychological problems yourself, or start working on these problems while you are on the waiting list to see a psychotherapist. Research has shown that self-help psychotherapy for anxiety and depression can be as effective as traditional face-to-face psychotherapy. Before we proceed, my name is Sam, and I am a fully qualified and practicing psychiatrist. Regarding the contents of the channel, videos will be mostly educational. I believe that the first step towards recovery from any mental health problem is psychological self-education. You need to know how your mind works to be able to make positive changes. On this channel, I will share with you my understanding of human psychology and mental health problems. I will also teach you proven techniques and methods that are used in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the most evidence-based type of psychotherapy. Hopefully, by the end of this series of lectures, you will have a better understanding of yourself and will master the skills that are necessary for maintaining mental well-being. And remember that psychiatrists and psychotherapists cannot change the way you think and feel. They can only teach you how to do that, but most of the hard work must come from you. Don't expect someone else to solve your problems, and don't assume that medications can cure you completely. Medicines can indeed alleviate some of the symptoms, but full recovery and your personal growth mostly depend on your inner work, on your thoughts and behaviors. If you are ready, let's begin our journey. In the following videos, we will dissect the human mind into several components and explore each part in more detail. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.